brain is a supercomputer, but nowadays computers are doing much wonderful work, superior work than the brain.
Yeah.
Why? Because 80% of the brain is sleeping, and when 20% is functioning. But anyway, it is obvious that the computers are doing much better work than the brain. But what is the difference between computer and brain? A computer has no potential, no possibility to be free of its content.
Yeah.
It has no inherent mechanism to wipe out its content and set itself free from the content. There is no way. Unless the computer owner decides. But a human brain has the potential to be free of its content. And that freedom is the divinity. That is all pervasive, eternal, existential, immeasurable, unnameable. And that freedom, and the brain has that potential. But there is nothing that I can do or not do to get into it. Because I itself is a false fragmentation from the content of consciousness. So if I tries to do, it is the content, it is your greed, ambition, your
Yeah. It's you're going around in circles with the eye. Yeah.
so if I does, it is the greed which will do it, and you are back to square one.
So what is the way out of the eye?
So this is the thing. So this I, can it realize its falseness? If it wakes up the to its falseness, that it is a false fragmentation from the content of consciousness which constitutes our consciousness, the greed, fear, belief system, cultural input, condition, etc. If he can realize this, the very realization is the dissolution of the I, which is not an experience.
The realization is the awakening of
the realization of the false as false.
That's false.
That I is a false fragmentation from the content of consciousness which constitutes the consciousness. And which are the contents? It is the greed, the fear, belief system, jealousy, ache, agony, search for gratification, glorification, pursuits of power, position, prominence. All this is the content of consciousness, the constant becoming, never in being. This is the content of consciousness. It is not that I am becoming and I is becoming. So, and it is these contents which projects an I, which acts as a protective mechanism of all these contents. Now, this fragmentation is good in the technical world. When the technical knowledge projects an I, so that I is a coordinator of the technical knowledge which enables us to function properly in the technical area. That is okay.
That's between subject
but
and
this,
object.
in the inner being, where the content is all these pollutions and these perversions and this paranoia, this is the curse and bane for the life. It is this which does not allow us to be available to life. And we remain permanently incarcerated in the prison of the mind. And all that we do in the name of religion and spirituality and all this wellness program and yoga technique and blah 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 is all that we are simply decorating the prison. And there is no understanding that this mental prison has to be blasted. Only then there is a bliss and benediction of freedom in the dimension outside.
And the blasting can happen how?
The question is not how, the question is when. And the answer is when there is a fusion between observer and observed, when there is a fusion and mutation between thinker and thought, when there is a fusion between the experiencer and the experience, no dichotomy, only the movement of perception, which is experiencing, which is life, which is not mind. Experience is mind. So the question is not how, because how is the hope? Hope is the expectation. And expectation is the ego trip. And all ego trips are tricks in the wrong direction. In the direction of the mundane. No ego trip can have any direction towards the most wonderful, the most holiest of holy. There is no way there can be any ego trip. There is no way I can seek that. The moment this is seen, not seeking, then I dissolves. And that dissolution of I is the advent of divinity.
And is it fair to say that love and peace are the result? Is love and peace?
Love is life. Peace is life. Mind is always agitation, ache and agony. Mind, the ego, is a tortured consciousness.
So when an everyday situation, how can you help people when they feel agitated and in their minds and in the eye? What's an everyday tip?
That is why in the everyday they do all these things like wellness program, this and that. And we are not talking against that.
Yeah.
We are only saying that, okay, be available to that. There is no particular charming being antisocial. And in the society, such things are going on and people are getting some relief. Why to deny them?
So what would you advise to do in that situation?
Advice is to wake up in the dimension of awareness. Is it possible? To wake up, not remaining in the wicked activity of the mind.
That's very beautiful.
The very question to others is a wicked activity of the mind. The question has to be addressed to oneself and remain with the question, as I was telling that on that occasion. And then the miracle happens. Not only the question, even the questioner is blasted out. That is the dimension where the unnameable, immeasurable is perceived in the blood cell, in the bone marrow. Then one knows what is life, and then one knows also that even the body does not die. After death, it starts flowing in new streams of life. If it is put in a grave, it becomes insects, plants, trees. It increases the fertility of the soil, grows more crops. So your body becomes the body of the crop. And if it is burnt out, it is producing beautiful gases which brings ecological balance and support more life. And when the ashes of the body is flown into the river, it gets stuck in some land, and the fertility of the land is increased, and crops, vegetables, etc., fruits are grown. So your body becomes the body of the fruit.
Part of nature. You're not separate from
Yes,
nature.
yes, not nature.
Not separate. Thank
So,
you.
so it is very beautiful. See, now I'm glad that you have recorded it.
Thank you.
And you can use it after